And so what this process really is about creating safety in 22-year-old Megan to remind myself, like, okay, like, I am safe, I can take care of myself, I can hold myself, and I can handle the emotion that's coming up. I can regulate my nervous system.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the Feeling Katie podcast.
Thank you for having
They
me.
can just like this. Okay, everybody. This is my friend Megan. She is a queen. One of the many queens that I know, and she has already changed my life since I've known you.
Mm-hmm.
My first friend in Montana, my only friend in Montana.
Rock on.
Rock on. And she is a spiritual, soul purpose, holistic coach, but you do many things, many other things. And give us a rundown on all the things that you do.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. Wonderful humans in the ethers.
Also, side note, first in-person podcast. So thanks for being my first.
This is exciting. Yeah, we opened it up with some dance and some tarot cards and a little meditation. So we're fucking ready, folks.
Gotta remind ourselves.
So my name's Megan. I am 22, which is something I like to mention because it's, honed in on like the age group I like to work with. But I am graduating from coaching school in 2 weeks, which is great. And
also you're 22, but your soul is like,
oh, fucking ancient
girl.
Yeah. So I'm stepping into like building my business as a soul purpose holistic life coach. I mean, there's like a million titles. I think titles are very limiting, but basically just helping people who are on their inward journeys to really go deeper into themselves and using my the power of questions to unlock different areas of people and go deep into their psyches and to really help propel people deeper into their healing journey. I have a bachelor's degree in holistic psychology and wellness, so I have like a lot, using a lot from there of just the healing arts and psychology in general, so I'm really excited.
Wow, so many things. I'm like, I have a business degree. You're like, I have all these different coaching programs. I'm like,
it's a journey.
Yeah. Wow, you do it all. And I'm first of all grateful to know you and be your friend.
Yes, me too.
And have you here. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know where to start because I feel like we could go on a tangent forever. So
we could. There'll be many more podcasts with us.
Many more. Get ready. But yeah, so I want to ask you.
Yes.
Give the listeners a rundown on your spiritual journey. Where does it even start? Yeah. I feel like, your spiritual journey and how you got to where you are today in Montana, considering you've been everywhere.
Yeah.
And,
I've done a lot. Been on this path for quite a while. So as I said, I'm 22. I would say, when I share my story, I say it starts around like 16, but since I was a kid, I was always asking bigger questions of
which is crazy, by the way, not to interrupt you, but I didn't start this journey until I was 20. And so when you said 16, I was like, that's wild.
Yeah. I mean, our souls are starting earlier and earlier because like there is just a need for just consciousness raising on the planet. So I was one of those people, but always asking bigger questions as a kid of like, why are we here? Like, it's really weird. Why are we on Earth? Like, what's the purpose of this all? So anyway, that kind of started there. But then when I was 16, had a fifth life crisis and developed orthorexia, which is an eating disorder. If you're unfamiliar with it, basically just a lot of control in lifestyle and food. And so that kind of identity crisis and like eating disorder really propelled me on this journey of self-healing and going inward and years of therapy and really finding different tools of how I can start to explore my relationship to food, myself, movement, lifestyle, purpose. So my inward path started there. And it was kind of just, years of therapy, just, light inward exploration. Throughout the end of high school and then throughout college.
Plummeted to the deep end.
We were like kind of like, we weren't in the kiddie pool, but we were kind of like in the like the beginning of the pool, you know.
Getting your toes wet.
Getting your toes wet, exactly. Yeah, so throughout college was, you know, continuing to work on that, but then, you know, was still kind of like the spiritual girl, like loved yoga, like all the things, like stereotypical for sure. But then 2020 came around, continued to go deeper, whatever, but then I was at a yoga teacher training in Costa Rica, and that there was some crazy astrological events there, with the Great Conjunction in 2020. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but on the solstice, and then since then it's like my soul just went deep into awakening, and went deep into unpacking the matrix, unpacking the dark stuff, unpacking the cosmic origins of myself, the planet, and really doing deep work. I like was plunged into like an 18-month dark night of the soul where I was like going into core wounds, ancestral wounds, like you know, relationships with my parents, my mother, healing my gut, healing my womb, like just like
everything.
I was
physical, mental, spiritual,
complete ego healing. Death in many facets for many months. So I was really brought to my knees, and and so it just kind of been basing it off there, and like since then, like throughout 2022, like was emerging in 2022 and went traveling, and but where I feel like I'm at like this winter, like it's just a continual journey, a continual deepening, and I've really like gone even deeper this winter and really focused on like developing the emotional maturity and communication and expressing needs and boundaries, and really giving myself permission to reparent myself and to express what, you know, inner child Megan really needed to. So just my healing continues to go deeper and deeper, and that's what I want to help people do.
Wow. I feel like it's like, I was talking to Yvette about this, it's a never-ending journey, and you learn more about yourself, and then you realize more things you want to heal and need to heal, and wounds that you uncover, and it's just an ongoing healing journey, and it's a beautiful journey, but it's never-ending. It's like,
no,
it's continuous, and it's like takes a lot of power and strength to be able to go deep into those wounds and face them, because it's scary, and it's hard, and it's uncomfortable, but it's, you come out the other side like powerful. And what do you feel like were some major like breakthroughs you made whenever you healed certain aspects of yourself?
I mean, so many. I mean, like you said, like it's a continual never-ending journey, and like, you know, when, it's actually funny, like my roommate and I talk about all the time of like, oh, you know, when people say they want to be on this spiritual path, like it looks fun and lovely, like like if you're doing it, like it is disgusting and messy, like multiple times. Like I have memories of this winter where I am sitting in my bathtub with no water running, sobbing my eyes out, like the core of my being coming out. But it's in those moments, like I've had moments where I'm literally tapping into emotion, where there's literally like an exorcism moving through my body. Like energy is being unlocked, and like to get to that level of emotion that's stored in the body and in the trauma body, like it's so profound, and it takes a lot of safety and connection to your body to get there. But like it's in those moments where like I have gotten to such pain this winter where I have found such stillness. And like my favorite quote from this winter is like, I feel most alive in pain. Like I like my whole energy body, like everything felt alive, and it was an outlet to stillness. And it's really like a message like I want to share is like, you can only experience life to the depth at which you experience your darkness. And
it's so true.
That's what I love.
If you want to experience the highest level of happiness and joy and like euphoria, you have to know what it feels like to experience the absolute opposite side of the spectrum of like deep pain. And same thing with me whenever I was I had like a very deep healing period in Naples with Alana. We were both like, I was purging so many emotions, but in that pain, I felt this sense of relief. Like, in the middle of my purge of crying, you feel this, like, sense of this is right. I need to release this. Otherwise, it's going to stay in your body, and you're going to be stuck in that pain.
For sure. For sure. And it's the most therapeutic thing. Like when you're actually, like I love crying. Like when you're crying, there's actual like chemicals that are released that once they're like feel good chemicals that like, you know, they penetrate your skin and they like activate something. But that's why there's such like a lightness that comes when crying, because you're literally releasing energy that is stored in the body. Because water holds all memories. So you're literally purging out memories through tears. And it's so powerful.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know about you, but I remember as a kid when I would like purge crying because of many things. When you're a kid, you just cry a lot. After, it's like such a release and you feel good. Cause like, and I would always wonder why when I was little. I was like, why do I feel so good after crying? But you're releasing layers and just trauma and pain from your body. And it makes sense because everything is physical. Everything emotional has a physical aspect to it. So it just makes sense. But yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it's needed. And
for sure.
You've been on, I know I haven't even asked you so much about this, but I feel like your dark nights and pain and healing have been like deeper than anyone I've known. Like crazy. I'm like, power to you, girl.
Yeah.
It's just, and would you say like it came from you feeling like you need to go deep in your pain, or has it kind of came to you and called you in, like the healing, has it called you on this path of facing it?
I've been along for a ride.
Yeah.
Like so I think it's two things. Like I think you can like actively choose like, okay, like part of it is like, okay, I'm dedicated, like I'm here body, like I want to do this with you. But then there's also, you know, you need to like actively be responding, right? And so it comes from like a level of awareness, because it's an opportunity whenever you're getting triggered in your external, like let's say like your mom pisses you off, or like your dad's anger makes you want to crawl into a ball, or like that angry driver on the road makes you want to like flip someone off, whatever it may be, whatever emotion is in that opportunity where the trigger can be the teacher. And so it's about constantly holding that awareness of like, okay, even though I'm so tired of doing this work, like I'm going to go into this and I'm going to explore it. And I feel like that's really what's propelled me to such levels of my healing, because I've been able to really get curious. And this is like what I, you know, help clients that I work with is like, we're going to go to the root. And it's through questions. And like, for me, that's, you know, whether with talking with other sisters or just journaling and asking myself questions to get to the bottom of things. And then that's what continues unlocking doors. But you have to get curious. And you have to want to change in order for shit to happen.
No, I agree. I think I'm someone who I've had to consciously take the action to uncover and heal. And some people, it's like the darkness just faces them like without them trying to go after it. And so I think it's like finding that balance. If you're someone who, like me, you need to like consciously go towards it, then you do. And sometimes, you know, sometimes there's cases where the darkness will chase you and call you in, and you'll just like be called to it. But I feel like it's different for everyone, and I feel like you've found that balance for you. Like you said, you've asked the questions, you've thought, what are the things I need to heal with myself, and like you've gone deep into the depths of it and done the work.
And it's an interesting thing, because it's like I feel like the amount of darkness, like portals that you can go through, aka death and rebirth portals, is determinant on the amount of safety that you have in your body. Right? Because our trauma that we experience as a child, like let's say like, you know, small thing, like, and first actually I want to make the distinction between like big T trauma and little T trauma. Like big T trauma is like, you know, being abandoned as a child, or like your father dying, or sexual abuse, or like combat. Like, you know, those are like what we consider trauma growing up, right? Or just like in society. And little T trauma, which is like what I have moved through and constantly working on, is like the little emotional things. Like I'm very empathic, I'm very sensitive, right? So like little emotional moments where maybe my needs weren't being met, or I didn't know how to set boundaries, or I felt just like taken advantage of, or, you know, just violated just emotionally or whatever. Those are little T traumas that can build up. And so what happens in the body is like, you know, let's say something happens where like wasn't getting as much attention as I needed, right? So then as a little 5-year-old, that feels unsafe, right? Like maybe there feels like it's like a life or death situation. Like I need attention because I can't take care of my own needs. So then because the body doesn't feel like it can handle it, it stores that emotion in the body and kind of like avoids it rather than feeling it because it doesn't want to feel like it's going to die. And so what this process really is about creating safety in 22-year-old Megan to remind myself, like, okay, like I am safe, I can take care of myself, I can hold myself, and I can handle the emotion that's coming up, I can regulate my nervous system. And then that's the invitation for things to come up. But there needs to be a relationship to your own nervous system and your body in order for the safety to go into things. Because if you're dysregulated and you're like completely detached from yourself and your body has no trust in you, like you're still abandoning yourself, then like you're not going to have an outlet to go into what you want to go into.
Yeah.
And free yourself from.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, myself included, my whole life, I thought, oh, I don't have trauma. I didn't have big T trauma. Yeah. And it's because we're not told growing up that every single thing that happens to us as a kid is trauma. Like, good or bad. It's just whatever affects your psyche and your mindset and a belief that you form is just...
And your perception.
Yeah, exactly. It's just your perception of life. And so everyone has a little T trauma, but it's like a lot of people don't know how to deal with it. They don't accept it. And I don't know what the stats are, but I think it's like a huge chunk. Like 70% of people that have trauma would say they don't have trauma. And it's just, that's crazy to me because that's why so many of us don't know how to regulate our nervous system or just be our highest versions of ourselves because we're walking around with this doubt or with this belief that, oh, I'm just this way because this is how I am. But it's like, no, maybe you formed, you know, your beliefs and your doubt and your worthiness wounds and all these negative things because you have trauma. But we have to learn how to accept it and how, like you said, how to handle it. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't know how to do that. And that's why you're here.
Yeah. No, and it's about like constantly questioning and questioning your reality, questioning how you relate to things, because you, and I'm looking at you in the camera right now, are capable of so much. Like your potential is like insane. Like we are literal miracles in human form. Like we are literal God, like in a physical body, just experiencing life for the sole purpose of just growth. Right? So you're literally capable of anything and existing in heaven on earth, right? So your reality where you're, you know, feeling confined to a certain path, or you're not like fully feeling vibrant and just, you're just kind of like maybe content with life, just kind of like whatever, but you're, you know, you're not feeling fully loved, you're not fully seen, like you're not feeling fully like like your partner, for example, isn't in reverence to you, like you're not in like reverence to yourself, like whatever it may be, like you're capable of so much, and it just takes asking deep questions. And that's, you know, again, like the space that I want to create for women is like, let's get curious and believe that you're worthy of more.
Let's like turn into superhumans, because what we were talking about yesterday, we are, what you just said now too, we are literally powerful beings, and we have so much like capability beyond our human like perception and what we've been taught. And it's what you just said. It's about questioning and asking, is my life limited to this? Maybe I can have whatever the fuck I want or be whoever I want, because you can. And you can.
You can.
It's just, I know, and that's why we're so passionate about this, is because I think we've been people who have started questioning and started being aware of the life that we're living and saying, like, why would we settle? Like, why would you choose to settle for a mediocre life when you can have anything you, or be anything you want? But so many people struggle to believe that. And, like, why is that, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense, though, too, because it's like, you know, we grow up in these, like, conditioned, we're being conditioned at all times, right? Like, you're conditioned by your parents, you're conditioned by your friends, you're conditioned by society, you're conditioned by school, you're conditioned by media and, like, everything is infiltrating your being. No wonder that we are just, like, these kind of clones of each other. Like, no wonder we're just trying to, you know, we feel not enough because we're not, I don't look like Katie, or I don't have the same, like, passions as Katie, or, oh, I should do the same thing because, like, oh, she's getting attraction from men for doing that, so, like, I should do that. Like, you know, like, it makes complete sense, right? So, like, validating that experience and there's more, right? So the first step is believing that there's more. And then, you know, once you start getting in that path of like, okay, something needs to change, it's really important to, and I've been walking this path continually, is like validating our own life experiences, right? Because like back to what you were saying about trauma, like, you know, I've heard so much of like, oh, like, but, you know, I'm not poor on the streets of Africa. Like, you know, I'm fine. You know, like, I can't complain. You know how many people like say that when you're like, how are you? Like, can't complain. What the fuck? You know what? Like, words are powerful, people, but you know, like, it's validating our experience. Really yeah. Like, it's okay to like not be okay, but validating like even the little things that hurt. You know, like a small comment from people can like, you know, triggers me sometimes. And I think that's a really important path, just like self-validation and that being the outlet to, making our inner child feel seen and, you know, allowed to feel whatever they're feeling.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a big one. And I think what you were saying about, like, we live in a society where it makes sense why there's constant comparison, because we have celebrities, we have people online who, if they get rich a certain way or they're like look a certain way or they get successful a certain way, we're like, oh, we must conform to be just like them and do it how they are and be like this person, because if I do it my own unique way, like it's not going to work. I have to conform. I have to be like other people. So it's this constant comparison battle 24/7. Like, I still get caught up in it. It's, like everyone does. It's so hard not to. Yeah. And so that's why I think, and that's another reason why so many people, it's hard for them to accept their emotions and say, you know what, actually I'm not doing great today. You know, I feel like shit today. Like, people don't do that because it's like, it's accepting that they are different or that they are, you know, it's much easier to just say, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. Like, just keep it easy and just block off any truth. But I think it's because people also are afraid of speaking their truth, of being let down, or, you know, saying how they really feel is going to be rejected by other people.
Right. And I think it's like a balance, right? Like, you know, some people, you know, advocate for just like when someone asks you how you are, like really, you know, even just telling the cashier at the grocery store, like how you actually feel. Like, I don't personally like resonate with that, because I feel like there needs to be a level of trust. Yeah. Right? Like, what's going on in your heart, like, needs to be held in a hand with so much trust and care. Like, it needs to be like a little tiny bunny. Yeah. You know? And, you know, even what I think is like challenging is like, you know, I'm still, you know, I'm post-grad 1 year out, like still navigating like finances and figuring out how to be an adult. Yeah. And so like, you know, sometimes the day has to go on. Like, there was periods where like I was working like 10, 20 days straight in a row and I had to get up and go to work. But it's like, how can we find those times for ourselves where we give ourselves even just like 10 minutes of like allowance to express emotion? Like, either it's, you know, waking up early, going and screaming in your car 5 times before you get in the car with your friend, or like screaming into a pillow, or just crying for a sec, splashing on your face, going out the door. Like, let's do it. Like, the amount of times I'm like, okay, the day goes on. But giving ourselves those moments. Yeah.
No, I agree. And I think a lot of people do that, but they do it in a negative way, to where, which I am guilty of doing this in the past, like, since we are so conditioned to suppress our emotions, a lot of us will cry or, you know, be a certain way and while we cry or whatever, and we get ashamed by it, or we're like, oh, like, I'm sorry, or like, you know what, have you ever cried in front of someone and been like, I'm sorry, I'm crying, like, I don't mean to cry? And we're like, what we should be doing is like accepting that it's okay to cry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be upset. And so it's in those moments where, what you were saying, if you do need to cry it out for 5 minutes or scream in your car, like, let it out and just literally allow it to be expressed, allow your emotions to, you know, be at full capacity, instead of getting upset with yourself, or if you need to cry in front of your friends, instead of being like, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry for crying. Like, it's okay to be a human and cry and have emotions, because it's healthy. It's why babies cry. It's like, it's a healthy thing to do. It's what we're meant to do, because we got to get it out of our body.
No, so, for sure.
Release the shame around it, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's like a yes and, right? Because I feel like the response, like, oh my God, sorry, like, whoa. Like, that is because we've experienced unsafety in those emotions being expressed in the past, of like, whether a parent was like, we don't cry, like, put on your big girl pants, go. Or like, you know, friends are like, like, okay, are you okay?
It's just, you don't need to cry.
So it doesn't feel safe to be received in that vulnerable space. So I think it's like, you know, if you're wanting to experience more vulnerability with friends, it's really like getting clear on perhaps communicating how someone could support you in that. You know, like, if, like, you know, they weren't as supportive as you needed. Like, hey, like, you know, next time, like, I'm crying, like, I don't need you to shout, you know, advice at me of, like, you got it, girl, like, you got the best. No, like, I just need, like, you know, just, like, holding my hand. That would have been really nice. You know, being able to express, like, how someone can emotionally support us in our emotional moments, like, whether that's a parent or a friend or a partner. Because, like, often people don't know. And so people who are, you know, like us, people maybe who are watching, like, who are, you know, curious on exploring our emotional depths and being vulnerable, we're going to need to invite people into that experience by sharing how they can support us. No, because people can't read minds.
That's true. They can't. And I had friends too that, like, they think that they need to give me advice when all I just need is an ear. I just need you to sit there and listen to me cry, listen to me vent, and just be like, I hear you, I see you, I understand, because I know how it feels when you have someone who's like, well, maybe you should do it like this, or they try to shout advice at you. Like, that energetically is not what people need sometimes. Sometimes you just need an ear or a hand to hold or something like that. But it is important to voice, like you said, to people, to tell them what you need, because people can't read minds, and it's hard sometimes. And I'm guilty of that too. Like, it's sometimes hard too when you're the person that's the receiver and you feel like, oh, I need to help this person out, I need to give them advice. Like, you know, it's hard to sometimes know what the person needs, but communication is definitely key, and I've learned that for sure. You gotta just voice your needs and then understand what someone else needs and ask them sometimes too. Sometimes you gotta ask people, like, how can I support you? How can I help you? Because I don't know if I need to be voicing all my thoughts, or if you just need me to sit here and be with you, you know?
Right. And I think, like, people jump to, like, the, like, a logical mind of fixing of, like, okay, but, like, you could apply to this job and then it'll be fine, and, like, it'll be good, and, like, you're okay, right? Like, you're fine. And it's because there's a discomfort with the emotional realms. Like, we grow up in a society where, like, emotions aren't welcome. Right? So there's a constant want to fix, like, it's a problem. Right? But, like, talking to you all there, we all have emotions. I'm sorry, like, if you, like, you know, you haven't cried, or you don't feel like you have emotions, or you haven't experienced anger, but, like, it's in you. And it's waiting to be expressed. And, like, I like to think of it as, like, our bodies are like the banks of a river, and emotions are here to just flow through. And if you reject, if you try to fix, if you try to invalidate that experience, then a dam is created, and it starts building and building into your system until it fucking breaks. And that's when we get, for example, parents blowing up on their kids about a kid dropping a cup. You know? So, just allowance.
No, we are literally, our bodies are channels for whatever needs to pass through and exit. And that's what we are not taught, and why we have this blockage of a dam inside of us, what you just said, and why we form. There's a whole host of physical things you can form, first of all, from blocking your emotions. Like, like, I know I've personally literally had gut issues from emotional trauma stored there, and not from anything physical. I thought I was doing all the healing, modalities, and it all came back to me healing, like, a broken heart and wounds within myself to heal that, because you can cause a lot of shit to block up in your body when you don't heal your emotions. And that's why, if you just remind yourself that you are a channel, and if you just allow your emotions to be expressed and to feel at the fullest capacity everything that passes through you, good or bad, like, when you're happy, dance, like, fucking jump around and ecstatic dance, in your room, what we were just doing before this. And then if you're sad, like, scream, cry, let it out, and it's just a release. It's like anything. You gotta just, like, you know, empty the coffee filter.
And I feel on that it's important to, like, when we can hear, I remember, like, you see people farther along on their inward journey, they're like, just, like, feel and be free and authentic, and, like, oh, it's just great. And, like, that's a truth, but it's also, like, I remember, like, moments of, like, but how? Like, it just, you make it seem so easy. And so, you know, what I tell my clients is, like, you know, the first step is like, let's say you're at that, like, you know, you're kind of at that point where you're like, oh my God, I can't fucking do this job anymore. Or like, oh, like my relationship to food is so terrible. Like something needs to change, or like I can't be in this relationship anymore. Like there's a moment where you have some self-awareness of like, I need to do something about this. From there, you know, you're starting to build the self-awareness and getting curious. But like the first steps into getting anywhere and developing a relationship with your emotions, your body, your everything, is you need to start creating space for you and yourself.
Yeah.
The relationship to yourself is the foundation to everything. And so like when you hear self-love, and that's just like, you know, been a buzzword for years, but it's like actually legit. Like it is the foundation of your entire healing path. And so like the permission that you have to express yourself and your emotions and your authentic truth, and you know, you pursue your purpose and everything, comes down to like, what are those moments in the day that you are taking and carving out to breathe, to be with yourself, to reflect, whether it's journaling or just going in for a walk, where you're connecting to yourself and not just consuming. Because the amount of consuming we have, like whether it's you're in a lecture hall and you're consuming like whatever, like a textbook, or you're consuming TikTok or Instagram or podcasts, like we're always trying to drown out our inner state. And so starting to build a practice, morning routine, night routine, you know, little, it could even be 5 breaths between your client calls at work, you know, like just moments where you're taking the time to like, okay, I am a human and I'm here and okay, you know, so it's really the foundation. And I think that's important. If anybody is like feeling like they don't know where to start there.
Yeah, no, I love that. I always say it starts with awareness. Like awareness is the key to everything. And I feel like the more that you can just sit with yourself, drown out all the noise, like you were saying, all the stimulants, all the TikTok, music, all these things, it's like, it's really annoying. Okay. Sorry, there's some background noise. If you can just sit with yourself and get a little silent and just ponder your thoughts and be aware of your thoughts and be aware of what feels good, what doesn't feel good, you start to learn more about you and you start to become aware of the person that is here, like you, as opposed to just, so many of us distract ourselves. I know even if I just go like a day or two where I'm just go constantly and I'm like listening to music, podcasts, all this stuff, and I don't give myself time to sit with me, I feel lost and I feel just chaotic, because we have ourselves at the end of the day. Like it is you in this life, and yes, you have friends, you have family, but at the end of the day, you know yourself best, and you're gonna die with yourself. Yeah, you're gonna die with yourself. And so it's like, how do you need to get to know yourself and get to love yourself. And I know what you're saying too, oh, love yourself, like fall in love with yourself. I used to always preach that, like, become confident, love yourself. And it's like, okay, but how? And truly what we're saying right now is the how is just getting to know you and getting to know what you like, what you don't like, sitting with yourself in silence. And even if that means going on walks or the 5-minute morning routine to just like silently ponder about your life, that's when you really start to get in tune with yourself, your body, your mind, your soul. And from there, everything is easier. Just when you give yourself time to sit silently. I swear, it's like how I've changed my life.
Yeah. No, I mean, because it's in those moments that a relationship starts being built and we can start having space to question things. And, you know, it's not a quick fix, easy path. I'm not saying if you create a 30-minute morning routine that you are going to be an enlightened queen, but you're on the road. Yeah. You're on the road to being like more than the grind, being more than the hustle and bustle. I mean, like, I think about it, like, how many, you know, I think about, like, high school version of me, or just, like, the expectations, let's just say in high school or college or like corporate life or whatever. Like, you wake up, you jump out of bed, you throw on clothes, you like shove something down your throat, you like run to school or work, you're like consuming, and then you're like shoving more food down your throat. Then you come back, you like watch Netflix for like 2 hours because like you're just dead and like you just can't do anything else. Then you like maybe connect with your partner or your friend or your mother, and then you go to bed and you do it again. Like it's you're running on autopilot.
Yep.
And so like what this path takes is being able to like pattern interrupt.
Yep.
Like, okay, I notice that this is the norm, and the grind, the hustle, the like overexertion is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And I want something different.
Yeah.
So how can I start doing that? Because you can create anything in your life, and it's literally up to you. No one's going to change your life for you. Even if I like came and like slept, you know, on your floor and then like didn't let you leave your room until you like did a little bit of morning routine, like that's not going to do anything. You have to want to do it.
You have to want, even if you had Tony Robbins like sleeping in your room every night, waking you up like, let's go! Today's a good day! You still, like, it's still just you in your head. No one else can get inside your mind and be that internal coach for you. You have to be that for yourself. And so, it really, I always say this, like, consciously create your reality, consciously live your day, because so many of us are running on autopilot, aka your subconscious mind, which runs your life, which is the patterns you've been living off of your entire life. And until you turn to your conscious mind and you start literally paying attention, which conscious is just like paying attention and being aware as opposed to just letting the subconscious run your life, that's when everything changes. Like, life just gets better, I swear.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, to be, like, completely real, like, you know, we've done the work that we've done in the path that we're on. Like, I'll speak for myself. Like, my life is anything but, like, unicorns, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I still have moments where, you know, I'm, like, numbing on social media, right? But then it's, like, or, you know, like, yesterday I was so anxious. Like, my nervous system was just whatever. But it's then, in those moments, of like, okay, I hear you, body. Like, last night I literally had a dialogue with myself. I'm like, okay, I hear you. Like, you're anxious. I'm gonna take a bath. I'm gonna bring a book into the bath. I'm gonna eat my avocado toast in the bath, you know, and then I'm just gonna like turn off my phone, put on airplane mode, and I'm gonna continue reading in the living room, you know. And it's like when you're on this path and you're doing the work, it's not like all your problems go out the door, but you have a toolbox of how to, you know, how to help your nervous system, how to help your inner child when things feel tough, when things feel scary, when the world feels out of control. And you have your awareness, because it's that awareness that made me stop numbing on Instagram when I felt, you know, whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be this girl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put on a song. I danced around in my kitchen. I put on an outfit and I went to a coffee shop and I did some work. You know? Yeah. And it's like the awareness is what is the like pattern interrupt. But like, you know, I still get into those cycles, but it's a matter of like, what are the tools that we can use to help ourselves realign to ourselves.
No, and it's about like now with this awareness, and when you, like you said, it's not always rainbows and unicorns once you become conscious. It's more so now you understand why things are going wrong in your life or why you're having a bad day. Maybe it's because of you didn't do XYZ, your meditation or whatever it is. You understand, you can see through what's like the patterns in your life and why things are not feeling good. You can tell in your body, like you start to understand maybe like why does my head feel weird today? Why does my body feel weird in this way? You have this awareness because you're paying attention. When you're running on autopilot, a lot of us, and I used to be like this, I'd be like, why am I so stressed? Or I just never understood why I was feeling certain emotions. But when you start to turn on the dial and see things and are conscious of your life, you just have more control. It's kind of like you're taking your power back, you know?
Right. No, totally. And I would even like say like even further, like nothing is like bad or good. Like everything is like neutral and can be a teacher if we can shift our perspective to it, right? Like if we're experiencing a quote unquote negative emotion, which I wouldn't call them a negative emotion, I would call them an emotion, or like, you know, we're feeling stressed or we're feeling tired or whatever, like how can we just get curious? Because like instead of like, oh, but like I need to do 1,000 things today, so I'm going to drink 2 cups of coffee and the day's going to go on. Like, you know what? Like, you could do that. Like, yes, like sometimes maybe that needs to happen, but like, how can you like get really curious? Like, okay, maybe my like system really needs some more support. So like, I'm going to do some things and then I'm going to take the time instead of scrolling on Instagram to take an hour nap like I did before I came here, right? Or like, you know, being stressed of like getting curious so then you can try to adapt to what's going on and everything is then a teacher.
Okay, sorry. Is it still going?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I'm losing my train of thought now, but technical difficulties. Pause, break, moment, hold on. Okay. No, I was going to say something and I totally forgot.
I was saying everything is a teacher and leaning into it.
Yeah. No, I mean, everything is. And I feel like that's another thing is I feel like my whole life at least was guilty of this, and I know so many people who are like, if I'm tired, let me just take a cup of coffee. Let me get 2 cups of coffee in my system. Like, we look to things externally. We ask ourselves, like, if I'm tired, I need something like this to help me.
Fix.
Yes, a fix. We always need like a fix in our life, and we really don't. And it's about how can you look again internally and see what's going on and try to fix it from your own mind and from internal awareness.
Yeah, to lean into it.
Yeah. Okay, so now I want to talk about sensuality. And I know you're the queen of getting into your body and dancing and, just getting more in tune with your physical body, because that's something that you and I both struggled with our whole life. At least for me, I know, like, loving my body. Yeah, and obviously the eating disorder that we've struggled with too. That's been a big aspect of really embracing our bodies. And I feel like you have really gotten into the dancing and ecstatic dance and all that, and it's like so inspiring because I have yet to really embrace it. But like, how has that changed you, impacted you, helped you? Tell.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely like hit a good point, like in terms of the eating disorder. Like, I'll say, like, I grew up very, like, a huge athlete, like, and I was very attached, like, my identity was attached to my physical appearance. So I was maybe, like, 25, 30 pounds lighter, like, just obsessed with working out. Like, I was in constant hatred with my body of it never being enough, hence the control, hence the eating disorder. And so I feel it's just been, like, a natural evolvement to really growing into myself as a woman. And getting into the body is something I'm very passionate about. So, like, in my, like, eating disorder and, like, over exercising journey, it's yoga was, like, really huge. So, like, mindful movement of connecting, like, the mind and the body and allowing the mind to quiet through movement. So, like, I grew up as, like, a 3-season runner. So, like, that's really intense on the nervous system, on the body, on everything. And so yoga was incredibly healing. And then, as, yoga teacher training, like, I did the whole thing. And then Pilates has been really great. So I love Melissa Wood Health Pilates. Shout out. Ooh, fucking love her. But yeah, so Pilates and just, like, slowing down, it has really allowed me to heal my nervous system, heal my relationship to my body, and not, like, working out from, like, a place of, like, hatred, and rather a place for, like, energy movement and, like, self-love, and to, like, help my mind quiet. So that's been really huge. But recently I've been really getting into dance and, like, getting into my body and allowing there to be so much expression. Like, as I've progressed in my healing journey, it's like parts of my body have unlocked and I'm able to just, like, move in these ways, and, like, my hips being unlocked. And I really feel that, like, a woman being able to get into her hips and get into her body is such a signifier of her expression and her, like, divine feminine healing. Because so much trauma is stored in the hips, and so is, like, our sacral chakra, which is, like, our Shakti energy and, like, our creative energy. And so I love just inspiring women to, like, find joy in their movement and just to do what feels good, and not like care what other people think. And that's, like, a journey. Like, I took some time to get there, but it's, like, really interesting to me right now. And also, like, the sensuality aspect of it, like, how can, like, we feel and, like, feel, like, sexual and sensual, and, like, explore those sides of ourselves that are often, I've experienced, shamed. No,
that's a big thing. And I think, at least for me, I know a lot of other women and men, but a lot of women, we get into working out because of our, like, the way our body's gonna look. I know that's why I started eating healthy, and working out was not because of wanting to make my body healthy and be the healthiest I could be. I was genuinely like, how can I get the skinniest possible? How can I like make my body look the best? And so it's hard to transition from that. For me, it was to like now where I'm eating healthy because I genuinely want my body to be in an optimal state. And then obviously, like you said, getting into the realization that, you know, working out and dancing and getting into the body isn't about the way you look. It's about how you feel and releasing trauma and releasing trapped emotions. That's a whole nother thing. It's a release. And so I think dancing, like you said, a lot of us women store pain in our hips or store trauma in our room space, our hips, and all these aspects of our body, and we're not told to dance to release. We're not we're not taught how to do that, and so I think people are waking up to it now. But that's why I like to see how you're embodying that on your social media, because more women need to feel empowered in their bodies and not have it be shamed, because that's a whole other thing. Shame around, oh my God, like through generations of ancestors who have been through literal like trauma from expressing their sensuality, and that's why
sexualized through it.
Yeah, sexualization too, like
objectification.
It's crazy. And so I think we're definitely in times now that are changing, but that's a big reason why there's so much shame around it. I know, like, I was never told to embrace my body or be like dance and show off like the love for my being, you know. It's not something I'm taught.
Yeah. No, it is like a devotional act, I think, towards your being, which is kind of what you were just referencing. And I think it's important to note that dance is a huge part of all cultures around the world. But America, just because of the nature and we're a new country, a new society, it has been lost. And, everywhere from, like partner dancing, in like South America, but then there's like such tribal dancing, and then there's belly dancing, and then like so many dances where women are using their hips, and twerking is a sacred practice, and like just getting wild. Like it is literally so profound. And like Sahara Rose, who love her, she is such a huge voice for this, of dance being such a sacred practice. And for me, it's really been like a space, like, if I'm feeling sad, like I put on like a sad song and I like move to it, and it like moves energy, and I feel better after. If I'm feeling like, like I have so much energy and like I'm so excited, like I dance and it helps move it. But like it's just a movement of energy. But like I can totally resonate with like the fear of getting into that space. Like, I wasn't always like this. I mean, in college, like for sure, like I was like the center of the dance floor, like sober, like I was that girl. But, that's a different experience than just like dancing how your body wants, rather than like, I feel like oftentimes like on the dance floor in a frat, I was like dancing for how I would look towards the male gaze. Which is like, a whole other thing. Not going to say it's good or bad, but I think it's just a reality. And, so I feel the more we get in tune with our bodies and unlock aspects of ourselves, the more it feels true to authentically express ourselves in our body. But I think dance is one of the highest forms of authentic expression, because instead of just like your voice speaking your truth, or like, your writing, like your entire being is your sharing your truth.
Body, like moving and shaking and dancing, like that is something that is like even more powerful than your voice speaking, because yes, that's your truth, but your body is your physical vessel that you are literally moving around in ways that are your own. That's why ecstatic dance too, it's like you're free going for it. And like I just feel like that's another thing too, is if you just think about it in an intuitive way, the way I always live my life is like intuitively it just makes sense. Like we are souls in a physical body right now. We came to this earth to live in this physical meat suit, and so if we're just gonna sit around like this and not express ourselves and move our energy, like what's the point of this body? Like we came here to play and dance and have fun, and so it just intuitively to me makes sense of like express yourself. It feels so good when you do, and it just makes sense.
No, for sure. I mean, there's so much to play with being a human, like so many different like modes of expression, you know, and it's like necessary. Like we need to move energy, otherwise just the laws of nature will erupt, you know? Yeah. So giving ourselves that space, I think, can be so powerful, and just like a tangible like step for people who are like, okay, or like, you know, maybe you follow me, you go check out my Instagram after this and watch some of my videos, like you're like, okay, like that's cool, good for her, like a part of my soul really wants to do that, but like that seems terrifying. Like totally honor that. But like it's, you know, it can simply be like just starting to like jump up and down and shake and like behind a closed door, or, you know, starting like yoga, like just starting to connect your body. Like some people don't even know like what it feels like to like open your hip in certain ways. Like there's literal aspects of our body that like we haven't met yet. And that's what like mindful and intuitive movement is about, is like, let's meet our bodies. Like, you know, I am not Megan. Like, I am just a soul that is in the personality of Megan for this lifetime. So it's like, okay, hey, Megan, like, you're pretty cool. Like, I get to exist in you for this life, and that's pretty cool. Like, let's work together. I don't want to fight against you my whole life. I've had years of that, and I'm not going to do that. Because you know what? That's just creating suffering for myself. So.
Exactly. Oh, my God. And the other thing, too, is, like, if you, which I am guilty of this, everyone is, if you see, like you said, go see your videos of you dancing, and you have this not intuitive, but if your mind immediately wants to judge or be like, well, that's weird, or I can't do that, our minds will find any way to conjure up why something is weird, or like, oh, I can't do that, or that's uncomfortable. It's just because it's not something you've done, or that you've seen other people judge others for, and it's just all a mind game. But like, if you just accept everyone for how they are, and like just seeing someone dance and express themselves, like just release the judgment behind it, because our minds, I know when I first saw like static dance, I was like, that's weird, I could never do that, or post a video of that. But it's just because it's like so many people don't do it, that it's our mind immediately jumps to judgment and to finding the weirdness in things, that it's like, oh no. But it's just like, let go of that attachment to your judgment, and just like see things for how they are, and see things for the good in it, and start to ask like why something might be beneficial to you. And another thing too, which I feel like we're talking all about how like women need to get in their bodies, but it not even goes down to women. It's honestly expressing your inner child. Like men and women don't enough. Just play, have fun. I love to just be a weird little human, like running around barefoot outside, and most people would be like, that's weird, that's what kids do. No, we were just taught that when you get older and you become an adult, you have to stop doing childish activities. But it's stop like playing. Stop like playing, stop, get serious, grow up. I've heard that a lot. Oh my god.
Fuck that shit, dude. Like, no.
No, I will not grow up. And that's the thing, is like, your soul never ages. Your soul is, I mean, you just, our bodies might age, we might get physically older, but we're all still children at heart. We're all still little kids that want to have fun, and we have an inner child within us that needs to play, needs to express, because the benefits outweigh everything.
No, and it's for like the enjoyment of life, and that's what we're here for. And I would like even like add, like, with, you know, judgment, like it's, you see it as like an invitation, right? Because anything that you're judging is a reflection to you of something that you don't want to look at in yourself. So let's say, like, let me think of an example. Like someone, I guess we'll use someone who's just wearing eccentric clothing and is just like dancing to music on the street, right? Like, totally have been in place to judge that, of like, oh my god, they're so weird, they need to like go in their house. But really, any judgment externally is a reflection of some form of myself that feels unsafe to be expressed. And so I don't want to look at that. So I'm going to put someone down and say it's wrong. So then like I feel better about my expression. But really, like, let's say that freedom, or that like authenticity, or that just like carefreeness, really maybe that's a craving I have within myself. So anything that we're judging, or anything that we're reacting to on the external, is really something that, again, as we were talking as triggers, as teachers, like, go inside. Okay? Like, stop making everybody around you wrong, because you know what? Like, you're not the shit. You're not. Like, you're fucking amazing. I'm going to tell you that you're great and you're the best ever, but I'm going to say that to your friend too.
Yeah.
Like, we're all great.
Yeah.
And and so, like, notice when you're putting something down.
Yeah.
Notice in your head when you're judging something, because, like, there is medicine there.
See the medicine and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. See it in everything. I know for me personally, I mean, many things. This is just one example I thought of when you were saying that. I am someone who's, like, very expressive in, like, my body online. I know I've posted things with, like, my bikini, like, my ass out and all that. And I've gotten comments of, like, you know, judgment towards that. But it's like, well, why do you feel the need to judge me for that? Is it because you yourself are uncomfortable because you won't do that? And yes, that is why. And that's just one example of the many things that people judge others for. Is like, just, there's a reason. If you're judging someone, it always comes back to yourself. There's something, like you said, within yourself that you are not able to express, or you don't feel safe expressing. So your ego is going to find a reason to judge another for it. And it's just like, accept people for how they are. Love everyone, because love is the highest, most beautiful vibration you can be on. That's all. The moral of the story.
Podcast over.
Yeah.
No.
Ended. We can wrap it up soon though. But
yeah. No. I mean, for real though. Like, I think that, you know, the amount of love that you have for yourself is like the amount of love that you can share with others. Yeah. So like, the amount of judgment that you're giving towards outward is the amount of judgment that you're giving to yourself, right? So, like, it's not saying that, like, everybody needs to, like, post their ass on Instagram, which, like, love that for you. But, like, you know, it's not that you need to do that. But, what part of you feels unsafe in your body, you know, like, someone who's judging you, and how can you explore that? Like, how is Katie's confident in her body and how she feels good? How does that make you feel like, oh, I wish I felt like that, like, comfortable in a bathing suit. Like, I hate my body.
Yeah.
You know? So, it's just all a fun game, guys.
Yeah.
It's literally just, like, a Tetris game, and you're just trying to put the puzzle pieces together, and, like, just be curious about life. Yeah. Be curious about yourself. Be curious about your mind, your inner triggers, etc.
Yeah, I think that also, like, the main thing, really, like, takeaway I've learned in my life is, anytime you ever sense a negative emotion in your body or thought or judgment towards anyone or yourself, instead of, like, resonating with it and feeling it and saying, like if you judge somebody, like, say, for example, you're judging someone, instead of, like, accepting that is your thought, just be aware. Just become aware of everything around you, of in your internal mind, like, all the negative emotions. Just ask, you know, why is this here? Why do I feel this way? Maybe I should think of things in a more loving way. Maybe I should see things in a more positive way. And then it just becomes a ripple that over time, the more that you start to have awareness over your negative thoughts, it just becomes easier to attract more positive thoughts, because you're going to just be aware of your life more, if that makes sense. And
reprogramming the mind.
Love is the answer. Always. Love, just always. For me, something that helps me is I always just try to remind myself every day, like, love is always the answer. So if any negative emotion or feeling or thought pops in about me or anyone else, I just bring it back to love. And I'm like, what part of me needs love right now?
Yes.
Yeah. What part of me needs love? And then how can I look at somebody and, instead of judging them, see them for who they are and try to maybe see, like, just why they are the way they are. Just, it's always about awareness and love.
Yeah, no, I think, you hit a great point. It's just about coming back to how can I give myself more love? Because any emotion, like, envision that as, like, a child having a tantrum, or a child being sad, or, like, a child, like, whatever, like, giving more love to that. Or if there's judgment, or, like, you know, feeling not enough in comparison, so therefore I'm going to judge you. How can I give myself love? Because maybe I don't feel enough, or maybe, like, my hatred for body is coming up. So it's really just coming back to nurturing yourself.
Yeah. So, thank you for being here on my pod. I love you, and I'm grateful for your being. And everyone, I will drop your Instagram in the comments, but everyone go follow Megan. She's impacted my life in the 2 weeks that I've known you more than anything. And you're just a powerful human being, and I'm grateful for you. And I think, again, everyone, just spread love to your friends, to your family, to yourself.
Yeah.
Your life's gonna be better.
Any last words? To that, baby. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So fun. It's so fun to pick your brain and explore these topics and share with the world. So, yeah, would love to. I hang out on Instagram a lot. Taking a little bit of an Instagram detox, but I'll be back in 2 weeks.
You'll be on the pod many times. She'll be here a lot, guys. Get used to it.
Yeah, so would love to connect there, and cheers to growing and getting to know ourselves better.
Cheers, girl.
Ching.
Love you, ching. Thank you guys for watching or listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Ciao for
Bye.
now.
Yay!
That was so fun.
That was so good.
That was so good.